Yo everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So I wasn't going to do this video, but enough of you asked me to do it that I've decided why not. It is a review of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Jackie Aina eyeshadow palette, which came out, was it about 2 months ago? Something like that. And I bought it then, but for some reason, I think it's because the Norvina, the first volume 1 palette, came out immediately after, that I used that, reviewed that, and this kind of got bumped to the side. I'm sorry, Jackie, forgive me. But you know what? I thought credit where credit's due. I love this palette. I need to do a review on it for you guys because I do love you all and I do listen to you now and then. So this retails at £46, which is kind of the standard amount that Anastasia tends to charge for her eyeshadow palettes. They are on the more higher end in terms of price. Let's quickly just go through the packaging itself first. So I'm going to get a little bit up close for you guys. So this is what it looks like up close. It's holographic, classic Jackie Aina style, very glam, very sophisticated. I love it. It's got a kind of squidgy kind of texture. I don't know how to describe it, like a bag. Like, you know those upmarket bags that have got like that lugs sort of feel to it? That's what this reminds me of. And then when you open it up, the brush just fell out, sorry. Comes with this brush, which is a standard brush for Anastasia palettes, where it's got a fluffy one on one end and then a more flat one, let me flip it around, on the other side. Then there is the palette itself with 14 shades, all chosen by Jackie Aina herself. And then there's a nice mirror on the front at the top. So for those people who live in the dark and don't know who Jackie Aina is, she's one of the largest beauty channels on YouTube. She's an influencer, etc. And she's very much a champion for black beauty and showing so many deeper skin ladies out there how they can create various different looks that will work for their skin tone. Now this palette in particular has been specifically created for women with deep skin. There have been a lot of people out there that have been annoyed by this, and I just think, how dare you? How many eyeshadow palettes out there that have been created for women that have got fairer or medium skin tone? Even I've been missed off, let's be honest, in the past. But you know what? It's nearly 2020, people. Get over yourselves. If Jackie wants to create a palette with ABH, with the permission of ABH, even being approached by Anastasia to create something for darker skin ladies, who are we to complain? Just don't buy it, right? I bought it because I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Now for somebody like me who is smack bang in the middle of the skin tone colour spectrum, this palette is a little bit dark for my skin tone. However, that has not stopped me from wearing any of the shades whatsoever. I just go in with a lighter hand. That's it, people. But for people who've got very deep skin, a lot of colours can show up very ashy on them, and their skin colour can actually eat up the colour. I don't know if that makes sense, but for those of you who that happens to, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll apply it and then you're like, where is it? Your skin colour has literally eaten up the pigment and there's nothing to show on your eyes. And that's the reason why this kind of palette was created. Every single one of these shades will work amazingly on deep skin tones and various other skin tones too. It's just, again, down to personal preference about whether or not you like these kind of colours. I personally do. I'm a very big fan of kind of purples and pinks and that sort of thing. And then you've got a lot of browns in here as well. Altogether there are 14 shades and there are 3 different types of finishes. There's matte, there's metallic, and then there's shimmery. Now the shimmery ones, which is this one here, all the names, by the way, are classic Jackie Aina words. And apologies if I don't say them right because I don't know all of them, and plus I've got a British accent, darling. I'm from London. Okay, we don't talk like this really, but certain things that are obviously said with her kind of accent and they sound better, whereas with me I'll just sound like her fiance who's from London. So for example, this shade here, which is called Zam, I'm guessing is how to say it, and Trust Issues, are the sparkly shades in here. The fallout is intense, people. All I can say, because I'm wearing both of these shades on my eyes today, it dropped on my face, it mixes in with other eyeshadows, so that's something for you guys to bear in mind when applying that to your lid. The matte shades are pressed pigments, as with all of Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes. They're very, very intense. They're not eyeshadows. Pressed pigments are very, very different concept, and they are literally a product which has been pressed in a strong, highly saturated, pigmented product has been pushed in to create this eyeshadow. So The shades have got a lot of kickback. When applying the eyeshadows, tap off your brush because a lot of excess will kick up and drop over your face if you don't tap off your brush. A little bit goes a really long way, and the best way to use these kind of pigments is to go in with a very light hand and then build up the intensity, build up the color. The colors are very, very rich, they're very intense, they're very jewel toned, very perfect for deep skin tones. The metallic shades again are very, very intense, very beautiful, and the typical kind of shades that work best on deep skin tones. For example, there are certain shades that just don't work well with fair skin tones or medium skin tones, and even with deep skin tones there are certain shades that don't quite work. So the way that Jackie has had this curated is to use the best kind of shades that work in the most flattering way for deeper skin tones. I am using the palette on my eyes today. As I always do, I will insert my little tutorial while we're talking about the palette and that sort of thing, just in case you guys were interested to see how I created this look, or how you could potentially come up with a look for yourself with medium or fair toned skin. So let's quickly just see what it says on the Anastasia Beverly Hills website about this palette. It says, Anastasia Beverly Hills Jackie Aina palette is a limited edition palette created in collaboration with influencer Jackie Aina, featuring Jackie's must-have eyeshadow and pressed pigment shades for straight-up gorgeous looks. Create everything from neutral matte shadow looks to dazzling metallic makeup looks. And it says 3 of the shades are not intended for use around the immediate eye area. I don't know why brands do that. I mean, I know they have to legally say it, but why putting it in an eyeshadow palette if you can't use it on your eyes? And let's be honest, everyone's going to use it on their eyes anyway. So that would be the shades Supreme, Pinker and Big Wig. But overall, I think this is an absolutely beautiful palette. Every single one of these shades has worked beautifully against my skin tone, and it's one of those palettes which I would definitely say is versatile to use throughout the year, despite the fact that it came out in the autumn fall time of the year. Even though I would say yes, it is very kind of autumnal because it's got those deep kind of autumnal sort of shades. I can still use this in spring. I mean, this shade here, which is called Dollars, it's how you say it, Dollars. You can use that in the spring, you can use that in the summer. You can use these shades to go to work. These are very work, school friendly shades. These are also very glam nighttime kind of shades. And the fact that there is 14 altogether makes it easy to create so many different types of looks. Altogether there are 6 matte shades and then 7 metallic shimmery shades, or 8, is that 8? So there's a nice equal balance between the textures as well. I really dislike it when palettes come out with, like, there's 14 here and they come out with 13 metallic shades and 1 matte, and it's like, what are you doing to us? The matte's going to finish straight away. I like the fact that there are tear duct shades, highlighting brow bone shades. A lot of palettes that I've bought recently don't have tear duct shades or brow bone shades. They kind of seem to leave those pale shades out, but both of them are very shimmery. I'm using, again, this shade here, Trust Issues. I'm using that on my brow bone, and I'm using this one, Soleil, on my tear duct. Really opens up, brightens up the eyes. I love the fact that there's like very warm tone shades in this palette as well. Generally, most deeper skin people have got very warm tones to their skin, so it will definitely work well and bring your color out and make it look a lot nicer, and it will just flatter your skin tone a lot better than cool tone shades, which don't always work so well against deep skin tone. These are very obviously very classic Jackie kind of shades. These are the ones that she tends to use. A lot of people who are fans of Jackie will definitely love this palette because she has thought about you guys and a lot of her followers who've got deeper skin, and they follow her specifically for that reason, in that she helps them to find colors that will go with their skin tones. She also points them in the right direction to certain brands that are more likely to cater towards brown and black skin rather than other brands, Charlotte Tilbury for example, that don't. Well, not always anyway. Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes also seem to be one of the few that actually come out with a fairly decent brush to go with it. I mean, this fluffy brush on the end is always great. I used it today to just smoke out the eyes, and then it's got like a flat brush so you can pack on colors onto the lid, or you can blend out colors as well. So I actually find that their brushes to be fairly good quality. The palette itself also is made out of cardboard, meaning that it's very easy and it's very light to carry. If you look at some of the newer Norvina palettes, they're made of plastic, they're heavier, they cost more as a result of that. So I'm really happy that these kind of palettes still remain in these cardboard kind of boxes. They're a lot more environmentally friendly as well, and a lot more travel friendly. For those people out there that are makeup artists, you should definitely get this in your collection, especially if your clientele varies in skin tone. Now, if you live in a certain area where you know you're only going to be serving fair fair enough, you do you. But if you're, example, a makeup artist in London and your clientele varies across the board in terms of skin tone, you should definitely pick up this palette because it will be amazing to have in your kit for those times when you're not quite too sure because your eyeshadows aren't working on your client, and then you can pick this one out and it will work if they've got very, very deep skin. Overall, I'm really happy with this palette. I give it a 10 out of 10. I think it's absolutely excellent, and I think so many of you will love this and get full use out of it. I know I have been. There's not a single shade here that I've not used or loved. They're all excellent in their own little way. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you swatches of each of these against my medium skin tone. Just an FYI, in Anastasia Beverly Hills Luminous foundation range, I'm in the shade 350C. It's actually what I happen to be wearing today, just in case you're wondering how my skin tone works with these kind of eyeshadows when I'm showing you swatches on my arms. And in another brand, what's it, in MAC, I'm an NC40. So again, I'm smack bang right in the middle of the color spectrum when it comes to skin tones. So this first shade here is called Soleil. Soleil is a beautiful peachy gold metallic shade, very intense. This next shade here is called Supreme. Supreme is a kind of neutral toned rosy pink shade with a matte finish, and this is one of the pressed pigments that we were warned about. This next shade is called Pinker. Pinker is another one of the pressed pigments which stains the eyes, by the way. This one's already just stained, look, stained. And it is a pressed pigment which is a kind of cool toned plum shade, absolutely stunning, and it's matte. This shade is called Big Wig. Big Wig is another one of the pressed pigments. It's a gorgeous, very royal toned purple shade, absolutely gorgeous, and it's matte. This next shade here is Dollars. I have to say it with the accent, otherwise it just sounds like I'm saying Dwellers, like with my London accent. Don't sound right. This one is one of the beautiful metallic shades. It's a golden olive shade. It's definitely a very unique shade. This is not one that you tend to come across often. You mostly come across olive shades, never really golden olive. This next shade is called Credit. This one is a very deep brown shade with a hint of purple to it, and it's matte. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm wearing this in my outer V to smoke it out today. This one is called Lituation. This one is probably one of my favourite shades out of the whole palette. It's so unique. It's a taupe shade, but it's got like a hint of purpley violet to it. Can you see if I move it in the light? How beautiful is that? This looks amazing with like brown in the crease. This shade is called Zam. This one is one of the sparkly shades, and this one is a sparkly rose gold. It's what I'm wearing on my lid. Like I said, this sparkly shade and the other one that I haven't shown yet has got a lot of fallout, as you can maybe see here as well. It's kind of fallen about. So just bear in mind when you are applying it to your face that you might want to do your face makeup after the eyeshadow. This shade is called Wiggleless or Wigglies, I don't know. This one is a metallic shade in like a cranberry Christmas red. It's so pretty. Look how nicely it works with the shade next to it. This next shade is called Shookington. Sorry, made a bit of a mess with that swatch. This is another metallic shade, absolutely stunning, intense and rich in colour. It's a violet with like a hint of blue to it. Absolutely gorgeous. This next shade is called Trust Issues. This is another one of the sparkling shadows. I love this colour so much. It's a white gold. I love white gold shades. Sorry, the swatch isn't that great. I was trying not to break it because it's so soft. A lot of these shadows are very soft to touch, so you have to be careful when you're doing it with your finger, which is why I tend to do these days with shimmery shades. But it's absolutely gorgeous to use on the tear duct as well as on the brow bone or the lid. This one is called Edges. This is another matte shade, and it's a very, very deep peach bordering on terracotta shade. Absolutely stunning. I'm using this in my crease today. This shade is called Sponsored. This one is a metallic shade. It's a brown with a teal duochrome hint to it. I absolutely love it. It's one of those very unique shades. It looks amazing against all skin tones. And then last but not least is this shade on the end called Ginger. And this one is a matte shade and a classic caramel brown shade. It's probably my most used shade out of the entire palette because it's the most wearable, most everyday friendly, and it blends out other looks. It's great as a transitional shade. It's absolutely perfect. So let me just stand back a bit so you can see these are all the shades from the Jackie Aina palette. Very varied is what I like about this palette as well. So many different types of looks that would go with so many different outfits and occasions. Okay, I am back and I've washed my arm. God, that was hard. Can you see my finger is like stained? So that's another thing that you always have to remember with Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. The pigments can stain your eyes. Make sure that you use a primer on your lid if possible, and also use an oil-based makeup remover to remove them to stop the staining. Staining generally tends to happen for shades that are kind of reddish and have got a lot of pink and purple. That's why I've noticed even with the Norvina palette, my eyes were stained for 2 days pink. It did not look cute. I had to cover it with makeup, but when I took off my makeup at the end of the evening, well, I looked unwell, let's just say that. So anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed my review, little tutorial, as well as swatches of the Jackie Aina palette. And make sure that you like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.